Hi everyone, welcome back to Bushwick's Review Hub. Today we're going to do a review on the new Deadpool and Wolverine movie. Now this movie is based on the comic book characters that come from the Marvel comic books. Now it's produced by Marvel Studios and Maximum Effort Productions, which has to be owned by Ryan Reynolds and George Dewey. And also the other producers on this movie is 21 Laps Entertainment. And this movie is obviously the sequel to Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2, but the other thing that it does is the 34th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it's also directed by Sean Levy, which happens to be the founder of 21 Laps Entertainment, another company that produced this movie. He's done a ton of movies over heaps of genres. Deadpool 3 was originally meant to be made by Fox Studios, but after it was purchased by Disney, it was put on hold in 2019. But another thing that came with the purchase from Fox, which was awesome for Disney, was it got to bring over the X-Men film series and all the characters from that, and that went straight to the Marvel Studios. Next thing you know, everything had opened up, time to make a new movie. And they're also waiting for the introduction of Deadpool into the MCU universe. But another thing that Deadpool brings to the MCU is it's actually their first R-rated film that they've ever had for the MCU. Let's get into the nitty-gritty about this movie. Right, start off with the budget was $200 million. And I'll tell you what, worldwide already, it's made $1.3 billion. So, I think they did pretty good on that one at the box office. And in doing my research on Deadpool, I found out a couple of interesting facts. One of the first things I found out that all the writers, including Ryan Reynolds, was having a little bit of trouble with the storyline for this movie. Till our old favourite, Hugh Jackman, came out and said, yep, he'd reprise his role as the Wolverine. And as soon as Hugh Jackman jumped on and said he's going to be the Wolverine, a lot of the other actors from the X-Men film series actually decided that they'd jump on, as well as other characters from the Marvel Universe. Now the plot to this movie is pretty simple. After Deadpool's had some fun with Cable's time travel device, and like I will admit, time travel comes with a consequence, that's for sure, and he got turned down by the Avengers, or trying to join the Avengers anyway. At one of his birthday parties, he gets taken by the TVA, the Time Variety Authority. And after the TVA take him, Deadpool finally figures out that the TVA is actually going to destroy his timeline. So he thinks, nah, not going to deal with that. So he thinks, I'm going to need some help. So he goes out and tries to find a Wolverine. And after he goes through a lot of them, he reluctantly finds one that possibly might help him. Now I don't want to give too much more away about this movie because I want everyone to check it out for themselves, so let's get into this review. I personally for one love the Deadpool 1 and 2, but I will admit this movie is completely different from the other two. I wonder if that's just because Fox made the first two and Disney acquired this one and they had to change the rules a little bit for it, but who knows. And though it's completely different from the other two Deadpools, I still loved it. Like, it started off with a bang. First scene got me hook, line and sinker. And even though I've said it before in my review, guys, I will say it again. I love the 80s and 90s music that they put in these movies. It really has a bit of nostalgia for me. And also, we'll give props to the fella called Nick Pauly, who's actually now referred to as Dancepool. And he's actually a professional dancer who was hired for the Bye 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 scene in Deadpool Wolverine. Now, one thing that really stood out to me in this movie was the cameos. Like, damn. Like, just being a 90s kid itself, watching Blade and, you know, Elektra and Daredevil and all those movies when I was a kid, like, this really hit home when you see them when they first walk out, when Deadpool and Wolverine go into their actual, like, little lair. But then on top of it, just to see Gambit, and then X-23 was there, that's pretty cool, because Gambit, I've got to honestly admit, was one of my favourite characters out of X-Men. What was your favourite character out of X-Men? Why don't you let me know in the comments about that one. Now, another funny one that popped out of this one was Chris Evans. Now, we all thought that Chris Evans was going to pop up as Captain America in this one, but no. Out of nowhere, he changes back into his original MCU debut, which was Johnny Flame out of the Fantastic Four. Now, I see in this movie that they killed Johnny Flame, so we'll see how that works, seeing as we actually do have a new Captain America coming out, who is now Anthony Mackie. So that leads to wonder if Chris Evans will ever reprise the role as Johnny Flame in any other Fantastic Four movies. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now, I know this is a fight scene that we've all been waiting for since the X-Men 2000 movie. This is the original fight that we've all wanted to see between Sabretooth and Wolverine. Now, as soon as I seen it in the trailers myself, I couldn't wait to see this fight. And I won't give away too many spoilers about it, but I'll let you go check it out for yourself. And last but not least, one little thing I got to pop in there was a little, you know, cameo from the Wolverine or Henry Cavill. That was quite good to see. Now let's move on before I give away any more spoilers of this movie. Now we'll go into the cast just a little bit. Of course, we've got Ryan Reynolds reprising as well as Wade Wilson as well as Deadpool. And we've got Hugh Jackman, who is actually playing the Wolverine, of course. We can never deny that. He's the only Wolverine, should only be the only Wolverine. That's in my opinion. And then you've got Emma Corrin as Cassandra Nova. And you would have actually seen her in like the Netflix series The Crown. And she actually played Princess Diana. And then coming back from Logan, Daphne Keane, who played X-23 or Laura, pretty much Logan's daughter. Now we're getting into the oldies but the goodies. We had old Jennifer Garner pop up, and she was playing Elektra, you know, from Daredevil or her movie Elektra. It really got me excited knowing that Wesley Snipes was going to come back and reprise his role as Blade. I, for one, being a 90s kid, loved the Blade movies, especially number 1 with the Blood Rave song. Still actually got that on my playlist to date. And yeah, seeing him when Wesley came back, he definitely didn't disappoint as Blade. Of course, as I said before, Chris Evans as Johnny Flame, that was actually quite funny to see him. I actually thought it was Captain America first, until he popped his head off, and I was like, well, there only can be 2 things he can be. He was only either Captain America or Johnny Flame. Now we get to Gambit. Now, I actually personally like Gambit because he was one of my favourite characters in X-Men, or especially the comic books or the cartoons. And I feel that Channing Tatum actually didn't do too bad a role. At some stages, he was pretty hard to follow, unless you had subtitles, but he did okay. I don't know if anyone else could have done that role. If you think of anyone else, let me know in the comments. And here's just a little side one for you that I found out when I was doing my research, that actually Matthew McConaughey does the voice for the Deadpool cowboy that you see in the end Deadpool fight. Won't give too much of that away if you haven't seen the movie, but I would go check out the movie if I was you, because that's an epic scene. Now the action sequences are pretty good in this movie, I've got to admit that. One of my favourite ones is where you get to see Deadpool and Wolverine actually have a battle in a little minivan. And wait till you guys see that one, you quite like that one. As well as when you get to see all the old nostalgic characters, as well as the new ones like Gambit and X-23 come together in their battle. That was pretty epic too, I've got to admit that one. But then again, it's also got the side note of, a little bit of Deadpool struggles with his ex-girlfriend at the time, or still on and off girlfriend, not too sure. Even in his head, he doesn't know. But overall, there's so many action and fight sequences in this movie that I just can't name them all for you. You're going to have to go check it out for yourself. And once you find your favourite one, you let me know about that one in the comments. Now the special effects also are really good in this movie. Especially there's a time where Cassandra Nova actually can put her fingers through your skull, and then yeah, she pops them out the other side. Not too sure how they did that, but it was actually really well done. And the other things that get me is when they're traveling through the void, the little details that people don't see. Is there's a scene where Deadpool and Wolverine are fighting, and behind them is actually the 20th Century Fox logo, as well as around them you possibly might see ships from Pirates of the Caribbean, or you see the Seattle Space Needle, or you actually see the ships that were in the Avengers. It's actually quite cool to see all those little details. That's what gets me anyway. And I like how it feels that this movie was actually made for the fans and not the critics for once, because I, for one, yeah, I really like that, because all the nostalgia with Blade and Elektra and, Gambit, even though we've never seen Gambit, but we always remembered him from the cartoons as well as the comic books. Overall, I feel this movie really hit home for me, and a shout out to all the cast that I didn't mention, because there's heaps of characters that came from other X-Men series or MCU movies that I didn't get to mention, but they're definitely in there. I'll say it again, man, the music really got me in this thing. You hear a bit of Madonna, a bit of AC/DC, it honestly felt like they've stolen a lot of the songs straight from my playlist. And this movie is definitely different from the original 2 Deadpools, but it's definitely in a good way. Because everything sometimes need a change, and especially going from Fox to Disney, that's a big change, I feel. But this was one of the first movies this year that actually I felt, other than Alien Romulus, where I was take my money and leave. In my conclusion with this movie, I would definitely go out and watch it again. I would definitely tell my friends to go out and watch it. It's a great movie, it really hits home. It's not exactly the same as the other 2, that's for sure. It's definitely a bit more action and fight sequence, where the other ones were a bit more nitty gritty and a bit more darker side, where this is a bit more fun and peppy, I feel. It's more the peppier out of all the Deadpools, that's for sure. But if you were thinking about checking this movie out, I would definitely go do it, because it would not disappoint you. Action sequences are up there, I'll give them a 10 out of 10. Special effects will give them a 10 out of 10. And the cast, why not? We'll go all the way, we'll give it a 10 out of 10, just because of the old cameos that we get. Now, I'll thank you all for watching Bushwick Review Hub. Like and subscribe. And if you have anything you'd like to comment and talk about, let me know in the comments. Now, I'll catch you on the next one.